So it's just the day before here, and I'm working out final things on what to show you and what to talk about. Now I know what I want to talk about, but it's so long and I talk a lot, as people who know me will tell you. So let's try and abbreviate it a bit. The Historical Society is about history, collecting the stories and the information about who we were living here, what it was like, what happened, where it happened, when it happened, the W5 of things. That's true, and that's what they've done. The Historical Society has done that. We collected the stories over the last 60 plus years, and we've produced them in reports. But you know, most people don't write their stuff down, and it's about recording their stories. You can get facts and figures from a lot of places, but the human stories, what people call anecdotes, those you have to take a little trip with me and sit down and record them with people. People are living books. That's the idea. You're full of stories. You have a history. You grew up here. I didn't grow up here. I grew up in another place. My grandparents came over around the same time as this place here, Grand Forks, got incorporated. The big boom was on here. So, you know, even though I'm not there, my history goes back about the same distance as a lot of people's does here. See, I'm already rambling. Well, let's ramble on and take a trip through the past, and this is what I mean. Back when the Historical Society got started, back when the society was started, court was still over there. There was no library here. This was still a couple of properties yet to be purchased by the Gyro Club. Buy Low Foods, that was a train station. And down over there, even though it wasn't there yet, that's where Andy's TV was. And even though Andy's TV eventually came, when the Historical Society got started, I'm willing to bet there were no television sets whatsoever in the valley, because TV was really only being born for the mass market. Speaking of Andy's TV, Thistlepot, that's where Andy's TV used to be. And this is one of the oldest buildings in downtown. Yeah. And it's Heritage Week, so they have all these nice posters out here. And you see, we are here, right there. For those of you who have seen this picture with all the horse-drawn freight wagons out here in the street, right there, that building beside the tall one on the block, that was it. And that was quite a while ago. That used to be a car dealership. The bank used to be over there. And this didn't even have the same name. This used to be Bridge. That's why we preserve history, so people know these things. But I'm coming back to the TV thing. The reason I come back to the TV thing is this. The world that the people who created the Historical Society grew up in, it didn't have television. It had radio, but you know, radio was something that you listened to, you didn't make. That was something radio stations did.
Who knows what evil lurks in the hearts of men? The shadow knows.
It also had printed materials, and for centuries by that time, the way of getting your information out there, to record what had happened, to write your stories down so people could hear them again and again, was the printed word. So that's what we have. The reports, which are the staple of our society. And no, hey, that's a great thing. Don't get me wrong. I don't want to stop doing reports, but what I want to do is I want to start making material that is more palatable to, more approachable to a generation that grew up with a little screen with motion pictures and sound coming out of it as their main source of information. I'll get to why in a moment. So back in 2013, Gallery 2 held a number of evening sessions once a month they called Living Books, and various people from the community came out and in front of a small audience told their story about living in this area, what happened during their lives. It was very well received. I'm going to show you a bit of that right now.
My little house was in between the bunkhouse and the cookhouse, and that was the generator shed.
Anyway, now I will start, I don't know where to begin, so I'll start from the beginning, which is probably close to time when I was born, which was very close to the time Columbus discovered America, I guess. Anyways, I have notes because I'm an elderly person. I have my moments.
So what did you do with the ore? Did it get shipped out on the trains then?
Well, the ore went through the mill,
Yeah.
where it was crushed and ground and then separated with chemicals. The copper ore was separated from grease rock in the mill.
The first one was B. Zuko. She's actually made history here in BC. She's caused the government to change the rules, and that's pretty impressive. She lives right here. So, all the rattle here is my equipment. They're about to start their Living Books here at the library. It's actually Gallery 2 that's doing it. I'm going to see if I can record it. Yeah. Let's see how it works out this time. Boy, there's a lot of kids here. I'll have to get permission.
Things need to change in our downtown.
Yeah.
Did you have radio back then, radio station?
I worked at the radio station.
Sis?
No, CKGF. They had a teen hour, and Deb Shear was one.
Yeah. Where they took local teens and they could be broadcasters.
Yeah.
That came in the 70s?
I probably I was right around
Was it
1970 when I was
CKGF?
doing it, so it must have come in the late
I think it was
60s.
CKGF. It was
Yeah.
But I think that was the first
Margo
one.
Evans was.
Wilf Warner and
Yeah, that's right.
what was it called? Jim.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So one of the things that I've heard in the past is people have said, well, why isn't anything being written about the last 30, 40, 50 years? It seems like most of the things that the Historical Society has written have to do with things that happened before 1960 or 1950. I couldn't say for sure if that's true, but you know, history doesn't stop being made. It just doesn't. We're history. We're making history. And here's an example. See this? VHS tape. Now, it says on the back, day trip on Christina Lake, time 23 minutes, and it says the number 228 at the bottom. Right there. 228. There's more than 200 more after 228. And they're in these boxes. Now, those boxes contain the collection of tapes that was created by the local community access Cable 10 non-profit. And since I was the last man standing, and Shaw didn't want them around, it was up to me to decide what to do with them. Someday I'd like to turn them all into DVDs. I'm not saying that there's, must-have history on here, but this is a collection of, in a sense, home movies of our community. And it's already being recorded. We just have to get it into a form someday that is accessible to more people and organized in a way that gives us utility. It's all waiting here in my basement. Believe me, Lorraine would love to see the backside of that. Just so you don't get the impression that I'm against reading. I mean, I have a library, and I've had that for feels like most of my life. Don't get me wrong, I love reading. But there's more out there than reading these days.